Aloha and welcome to Books, 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 a talk show with interesting authors on interesting books. I'm your host, Mihaela Stoops, and today we're talking about real estate business and real estate careers. My guest today is Bob Cella. He's the highest producing real estate agent in the history of Maui, with over $1 billion in real estate sales. He is also the vice president of Coldwell Banker Island Properties. And he wrote a book called The Cella System, Selling More Real Estate Using the Law of Attraction. Bob, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
So,
Exciting.
You're obviously a very successful realtor, and you wrote a book about how to do it. What motivated you to write this book?
To be honest with you, I come from a very fine family, highly educated. My brother's a Franciscan priest. It's a perfect family. And then there was me. And I came to Maui to drink beer and chase girls and smoke pot. And in '83, I got sober. And the first thing I thought that I was an embarrassment to my dad. I got a phone call from my mother saying that dad has Alzheimer's. And and it's a shame that, I wanted to make sure that he knew they did a good job with me because I turned out to be good. So a friend of mine, Kevin, who helped me write the book, he asked me if I would be interested in writing a book, and I said absolutely. I said my main function was to give it to my dad and tell my dad that you did a good job with me too. So that was the sole purpose behind the book. Kevin asked me what I was going to do with the book afterwards, and I said I'm not sure. And he said, well, he's going to put it on Amazon. And I said, look, if I make any money out of it, just give it to charity. And that's how the book became a book.
But I read your book, and I know many other real estate agents that have read your book, and it has a lot of information on how to do better in real estate. So some people would say, well, you figured it out. Why do you want to share that secret with everybody else now? Put it in a book.
Unfortunately, we have a tendency of following our parents. And when I was growing up, they would do everything for the neighborhood and help families out. And I was always upset that they didn't charge people for that. And then as I got older in life, I understood what giving back meant, sharing and helping, other people. I've been blessed. I've lived a really great life here financially. And if I can help one person better their career or better their kids' education, that was my main sole purpose behind being successful that was the very first thing I said, that I was going to make sure that my kids got a very good education. And that I needed the money, and that was the driving motivation behind my success. Because when I said that, I didn't have any children, and I have 4 children now. One's a nurse, one's an attorney, one's a professor at Boston University, and the youngest one is getting into real estate. So mission accomplished with my motivation of why I work so hard. And I just following the trend of my parents, and I understood now why they did it. I mean, it really feels good to help people. And, I get phone calls from all over the country thanking me for that book. It's helped my kids and my grandkids. So, yeah, hey, there's nothing better than sharing and helping other people, I think. So.
And I know even if your official title at Coldwell Banker Island Properties is vice president, you're actually like a mentor to many of the agents in the office. You have like a weekly roundtable where agents can address any questions, and you're coaching them through these issues.
It's interesting because I started this company. I started in real estate in '86. I started Coldwell Banker Island Properties. My wife named the company. And we started with 7 agents, and it was all about teaching people, how to sell real estate. And I ran it all the way up until 2016, and then I got to a certain age where you're supposed to retire, which I did. I retired for a couple of years, but I kept missing, helping the agents. So I called my friend Tommy Muldoon, and I said, Tommy, give me a couple of agents. I want to help them. And he said, come talk to Steve, the owner. And so I met with Steve. He blew me away with what he wanted to accomplish. He asked me if I'd help him. I told him you can't afford me. And the rest was history. So I kind of hooked up with him and joined forces with him, and we blew it up to something really big. And a part of that whole journey, it's all about sharing knowledge with agents. And my roundtables on Friday it's just it's geared to talk plain language and have the agents ask questions and answer them with honesty and tell them. So, I'm brutally honest with people. I don't believe in telling them what they want to hear, especially when they say, well, I make it in the business. And unfortunately, I got to say no. And their answer is why. And my response is because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's a simple business. It's a 60-hour class. You need a C minus to get a license. So it's not a hard business, but for some reason, agents complicate it, and they don't follow the basic system or formula. And if they do, then they're going to find success. So the roundtable is all about sharing knowledge weekly with agents, especially newer agents. I mentor older, more experienced agents also, but my true joy is the agents that haven't figured it out yet.
The public generally thinks that we make easy money very fast. So do you agree with that? Has it been easy for you?
Unfortunately, to be honest with you, I think so. It's not a hard business. You have to sacrifice time, but it's a numbers game, and that's why I knew I'd be successful at it. It's how many people can you meet in a day or a week or a month, and how well do you know your product? So it's a simple business. I don't find it a hard business. I find it very enjoyable to help people. Buy a piece of property here, they share it with their children or their grandchildren. That's memories, it's priceless experience. So, I find the whole process of real estate, wonderful. I find it easy. I don't know why I find it easy. Maybe because I, I just excelled very quickly in the business, and I didn't struggle, but I did work really hard. And the only thing that I don't regret anything in my career, because I really took the time out for my children, which is very, very important to do, is being there for their soccer games and their schooling. And so I don't have any regrets about anything that I've done in the business. But I think when you enjoy what you do, it's not hard. I think that's the bottom line.
But when you said you worked hard, what does that mean? You put in a lot of hours? Did you sacrifice personal or family time? What was the hard part about it?
The time, it's like I got into the business when I was 32. I'm 69 now. It goes fast, and you get so wrapped up in the business that your life revolves around it. I did spend time with my family growing up. They're all grown up and now they're out there on their own, but I made sure I spent time with them. But time just flies by, and working hard means that I took the business serious. I worked as many days of a week that I could. I was driven to be successful, just to make sure that my kids got as much education as they wanted they could have. My brother, who's a Franciscan priest, has 5 masters, 2 PhDs, and his law degree. So my kids have a long way to go to catch up to him.
On that note, is the book still relevant today? Can new agents find a lot of good information in it, or are there some things that you want to update or change?
The book, it works extremely well here in Hawaii. It's the market, the real estate market on the mainland is totally different. Social media, the internet, there's so many other aspects of the business that work better on the mainland. But for Maui, it's a tourist industry, and the basic fundamentals is the same. Is you got to be in front of buyers, and you have to know the inventory. So, we have 250,000 visitors a month, and they're staying in these condominiums. So, my new agents last year, the top 10 agents are brand new agents. They made 250 to 650. So, I still think that the system works. And if it was on the mainland, you would have to add some ingredients to the system that we don't add here. So,
Do you sometimes, or have you experienced any, let's say, bad feelings from consumers about you being a real estate agent?
yeah. I did a lot of what we call farming, and that's sending out letters and postcards, and I got some comments back, and I understand, some people have PO boxes that are very small, so they don't want a lot of junk mail, but I've been called predator. I've been called land pimp. I've worked with a lot of movie stars and a lot of famous people. And I don't take it personal. It's just business. And if I offended you, I apologize, and I'll remove you from my list. So I think that just goes with the territory. There's some jealousy with some agents. I recall growing up in the business. I just kind of kept my head down and stayed focused on what I wanted to achieve, and that was to be the number one agent, and that was my drive. I wanted to be successful. I didn't grow up, with money, and I swore that if I had to sacrifice my life, that my kids were not going to grow up poor. And unfortunately, my kids grew up rich, and that's not the answer either. But I think the blend of half and half is the best. So I keep telling them that they're not rich. I'm rich, but you're not. You got to go make your own living. So
Good point. Good point.
yeah.
So everybody's asking, how's the real estate market? How are things going? And I want you to answer that as well, but also answer the question, is it a good time for people to get into this business to become real estate agents?
I think so. And we go through cycles, and like I'm a numbers guy, so I really love doing research and asking people why they bought from me and why they didn't buy from me. I'm not afraid to find find out the reasons behind why people do certain things. So in our industry, we have real estate cycles, and if you take it back from the time that I started, 86, from 86. We went up to 1991, where we hit the war, and we free fell to 95, and then 95 we went all the way up to 2006. So that's a long stretch of a good market. That free fell down to 2010, and we went from 2010 up to where we're at today. So when you take a bird's eye view of the industry, majority of the time it's a great real estate business. Right now, we're in the transition of a market changing. COVID changed our market, and I didn't see it going up the way it went up, but it did go up, and anything that goes up that fast has to come down. So we're in that transitional period. There's still money to be made. Last year we did $2.6 billion in sales. This year we'll probably do $1.7 billion. That's still a lot of business out there, So there's still money out there buying, because people, they work hard and they want to enjoy their life, and this is their reward. So it's a little bit harder now. I tell the agents it's a little bit harder. But it kind of reminds me of law school. My son went to Pepperdine, and I told him that, hey, you're going to suffer, the first year, the second year, and the third year. And he did. He Uber drive. He ate macaroni and cheese. He did exactly what I wanted him to do. Was to feel the pain that you need to feel before success. And then he graduated, and now, he's like 31 years old or something, and he's making big bucks. So it's the same thing in our business that you got to suffer a little bit, but if you're willing to put the time in, there is a big reward, and it's a great career over the long haul. It's a great career.
So for some people, they get into the business, they get the coconut sale, and it's all going fantastic. For others, it takes more time to, plant the seeds, let them grow, and have the benefits. So some of them then go and get second job, or real estate becomes a second job.
Right.
Does it work?
No. That's exactly what you said was exactly real estate. They get into the real estate market. They're not trained properly what to do, or they don't do what they're trained to do. Real life goes on. You got to pay your bills. Month number 2 comes along, no money. You got to pay your bills. By the 4th month, exactly in the 4th month, they take a part-time job. That's the beginning of the end, because now you're downhill. 9 months, you're out of the business. You have a license, and that's why it shows that we have 2,000 real estate agents on Maui. But if you really drill down and look at who's making the money, majority of those people are not, because they're not in the business. They just have a license. So the the most important thing is that when you get into the business, make sure you get somebody that teaches you, who already found success and they know how to do it, and not like managers are people that have never made it in the business. So it's really hard to find top producing people that are willing to share their knowledge. And that's why, Coldwell Banker is the #1 company on Maui for 30 plus years, is that, we've trained our agents and, with people that are really professional, and they're good at what they do, so, but you're right. Out of these 10 agents that I hired last year, one of those agents did make a sale. And so I sat her down and I asked her, I said, "Are you doing this?" "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Are you doing that?" So the first question was, "Are you sitting enough open houses?" And the answer was yes. "And do you know your product?" And she said yes. So I asked her some product questions. She knew it. So I said, "Well, the only last thing is that the words that you're using at your open house. So I want you to come in tomorrow morning, and I want you to tell me exactly the words that you say. I don't want to hear what I want to hear. I want to hear exactly." And the words that she was using out of her mouth, it sounded like a salesperson. And these people that we're dealing with are a top 1/4% of people in the world. They do not need to be sold. They need to be educated. So I train my agents never to act like a salesperson. Don't ask them, how many bedrooms or blah, blah, blah. Just educate them on the process of buying it, educate them on the product, and invite them out if they want to get educated and look at some inventory, But she was a Macy's department store, and that works quite well at Macy's. It doesn't work at all with high-end buyers of real estate. This is expensive real estate here, and it's only the top 1/4% of the people in the world that can afford here. So you have to treat them different than a regular sales person does. So, and then she went on and she made 8 sales this year. So that's just the reason that I'm here, is that that's kind of the stuff that makes me I enjoy what I do, when I can take somebody who didn't make a sale last year and all of the peers did, and all of a sudden she lit it up this year. So
Speaking about information that we provide to our clients, a lot of it is actually available online. They go on various websites and they find what's for sale and how many bedrooms it has and all that good stuff. Then what is our job? What are we offering? Because we're not offering the number of bedrooms and the size of the lot and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's true. I think that people who are buying here know more about Maui real estate than most Maui real estate agents do. But it's selling is still a personal touch, and when you go to a restaurant, you need a waiter. And is it a good waiter, bad waiter? You need a chef. So it's still the agent is still involved in our industry. Maybe someday that might change, but right now they still want to be interact with an agent, and the buyers know when you know what you're talking about just through your eyes, and um, and they also know when you do know what you're talking about. So they know when you don't, and they know when you do. And the agents who are successful, they just have the knowledge that particular buyer is looking for, and that's what makes them so successful in our industry. Is it revolves around product knowledge and trying to tell them that, educating them. That's really what I do. I really never have ever tried to sell anybody in my career, but I'm a firm believer in educating them on product or prices, um, and the process of going through the financial or the rental. So knowledge is the key to success in our industry, and that comes with time. I don't know if I answered your question, but
You did. And I'm just going to have one last question for you. So, do you think that artificial intelligence is going to replace us or certain parts of our job?
I do. I see someday that the buyer and the seller will be connected. And then there will be a person that will facilitate it. And that will be not the level of income that our top agents make today, but it will be a regular job, and and it's basically just showing them 5 or 6 properties where there's so much information, like you said, on the internet that little by little, I mean, I'm just amazed of how I remember showing this one person these properties, and they were asking me about, the neighbor, did their divorce get finalized? And I'm like, how do you know that stuff? And they, oh, it was on the internet, and it was just amazing of what you can find out today. So I don't think it's going to happen in our time, but there will be a time that it will happen, and the industry is changing little by little already, and I see it coming. It's just I think it. I just hope that my son sees the benefit, gets his license, and sees the benefit before that happens, because it's a wonderful industry to be in, and the financial rewards are priceless for what we do. So.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for the discussion today. And for those that want to get into the real estate business, check out Bob's book. It's I could give my own opinion, tell you it's very valuable. And until next time, hui ho.
Thank you so much for watching ThinkTech Hawaii. If you like what we do, please like us and click the subscribe button on YouTube and the follow button on Vimeo. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and donate to us at thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.